Yeah, honestly though, LYON here in this group, it is very tough because both of the groups for this stage of the LTA seem like they have a very clear top two. Everybody coming into this was like, oh yeah, you know, this group is going to be Cloud9 and Team Liquid.
Yep.
And the other group is going to be FlyQuest and 100 Thieves. But we have started to see, you know, some hints of possible shakeup. So I'm excited. We'll see if LYON can make a dent here. It's definitely going to be difficult as overall Cloud9 have really been looking like the strongest, or at the very least, second strongest team in the entire league. So
yeah,
they're gonna slam the Rumble first, though. That's a place to start. We were talking about these solo lane matchups, and Licorice does feel very comfortable on the Rumble, stealing that away from Thanatos.
But it's not something spicy. It's not something surprising.
What if you do the spicy hot pot and you pair it with Jarvan? That
Okay, well, okay, we can get a little bit. We can get a little bit of spicy hot pot in there, but I'm still not going. Whoa, wowie, it's Rumble.
Okay.
He's been around in the meta. He's been pretty popular for a long time.
Game one of Fearless, you know.
Okay, started off with something a little bit normal, then shake it up afterwards. Okay, well, let's go ahead. We'll check in on the bans here real fast. Ezreal, Poppy, Gwen banned out by LYON. C9 getting rid of the Vi, the Varus, and the Yone. That is all three of those champs that during the lounge they were saying has had 100% pick ban presence throughout the entire split, and C9's just paying the pick ban taxes on all of them.
Yeah, and I feel like this is what you're in store for in game ones, because we haven't had huge changes in the meta over the last, I want to say, like 4 patches. So people are really comfortable on what is good in the first game, in the blind, basically blind scenarios here. So, you know, Loki, we had like the highlight play of him on the Azir, obviously. Ton of games. Cranking in solo queue on the champion as well. And so we're seeing pretty quick answers here. The Ambessa also very common into the Rumble, but also it's a Thanatos special.
Yeah.
Thanatos absolutely smurfs on this champion. He has had very good games very recently with the champion, both versus Team Liquid and versus FlyQuest. He was a monster, so really utilizing it against some of the high caliber opponents that Cloud9 played in the first stage of this splits, and did very well with it. If you've got a Sejuani and you've got an Ambessa, that is a super scary 2v2. Meanwhile, 100%. Though, got to respect that Zhao. It is most people's one of most people's like favorite options into a lot of the tank junglers. You know, you go conquer on Zhao pretty much always, and you can duel very effectively. And we've seen a lot of like lane ganks come from Oddielan, especially too, like slipping into the brush in lane to be a little bit sneaky about it. So maybe we'll see some of those antics, but catching up on the bottom lane, Flowers.
Yep, let's go ahead and look where we're at here, because both sides have drafted both of their solo laners alongside their junglers, so the second half of the bans have to focus in that bottom lane, and 3 out of 4 bans are targeting the support role, specifically champions that are good at roaming around and setting up picks or engages. The Bard, the Alistar, and the Nautilus all banned away. The one change away from support, C9 removing Lucian from the table, interestingly enough.
Okay, no Lucian Nami, no Lucian Milio on the board. They don't want that to go over to Hena. Let's see.
What do they want, Kobe? Because we've got the Varus and the Ezreal both banned out.
Exactly. So then you're down in like the Misfortune, Corki, Kaisa territory here, and they still really like that Corki, like that burst damage coming from it. Honestly, Zven has definitely impressed with it and delivered dividends. So like the mobility of it, because anytime you're facing a Rumble and a Taliyah, especially the Rumble though, like you want some sort of Valkyrie, some sort of mobility to get off that Rumble ultimate very quickly.
And it's a double Freljord lock-in on the side of LYON. The Braum and the Ashe picked up for the bottom lane. I really like the Ashe pick here because I feel like this team is very limited on their hard engage. The arrow is going to be an absolutely critical tool for them being able to pick fights that they want.
Yeah, there's one thing common with Freljord champs, and that's crowd control.
Yeah.
And it's team fight, you know? A lot more structure to the team fight with an Ashe Braum here. So huge peel. Braum can be a pretty good tool versus an Ambessa. Try and keep those melee carries down by stunning them up with the ultimate as well. With the knock-up, a lot of area you can try and control. So we'll see how well LYON can team fight here, because they've rounded it out. Both these comps honestly look quite good to me. So game number 1 here, does look like we've got some pretty even footing heading in, but on Summoner's Rift, really going to have to lock in here for LYON versus Cloud9, because Cloud9 have not been giving a lot of openings or a lot of mistakes to for their opponents to capitalize on.
All right, non-subscribers, we're going to see you guys in 30 seconds. But for everybody else, a quick stat here, because I'm like, you know, I feel like for as long as Vulcan's been in the league, we've seen a lot of Rakan games out of him over the years. And I just checked, and yeah, he's got 56 Rakan games, so lots and lots of experience on this champion. Does have a positive win rate on it, but it's just about 54%, so nothing crazy. But I feel like with how well Zven and Vulcan have been playing, putting Vulcan on this big engaged champ, especially when your opponent's engage is much more limited, I think that Zven and Vulcan have a chance to really just run the show in this one.
All right, let's pump that up to 56, 57%.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Right after this game.
I don't know if one game does that. With
if he has 50 games, you're going to get 2%.
Okay, all right, sure. Let's see if we can do it. Let's see if we can pump those numbers up. Get them past the rookie numbers. 54? Hell no. We need a 55 at least.
At least.
All right. Let's see what we get here at the start as Oddielan's just going to step up, place down that super common chicken ward in the enemy jungle there, as Vulcan will see Lyonz and Hena stepping up. Yeah, okay. Just a couple of counter wards.
I do see a Zhao kind of hovering behind the red buff there. I don't think he's going to do anything crazy, but at least drop the ward towards Raptors. And Blaber sees it go down. That's always the key, though. Now Blaber can work around that known vision that the opponents have. LYON also warding up the blue buff, though, so they'll be able to track that Sejuani, no problem.
I love how Zven uses the Papega Frog, not just on others, but on himself. Fires the Phosphorus Bomb into the Pixel Brush, misses completely. Oh, that's a Papega Frog.
He is very liberal with his Papega Frog usage. He'll use it at any actually convenience, you know?
Yeah, it's just
any instance, good, bad, him, anyone else.
It's got to be bound to like his middle mouse button or something. Like it's a very common usage there. But
you know, you can bind it. You can just bind it to the same keys as your abilities too, and just always have emotes going.
Yeah, I know specific. I'm pretty sure that's common specifically on Yasuo players. Like Yasuo players like to do that whenever they ult or something.
That tracks. That tracks.
So that you know that they're doing it. They're feeling it in the moment. All right, so let's go ahead, see where we're at here with the early lane trading as Hena and Lyonz want to try to use the power of the range there with the Ashe. Just keep that volley spam going on. Both junglers starting off in their bottom side junglers will be pathing towards that top half of the map, and that leads me back to kind of what we were talking about in draft a little bit, the Sejuani Ambessa and how scary this duo is, especially considering it's Thanatos Ambessa, and he's already winning early trades.
Yeah, he got the early level 2 there, jumped in for the quick little trade onto Licorice, nice little bit of damage, and he went with the electrocute Ambessa, because you're trying to go for those quick trades. Get in there, big burst damage with the electrocute, back out before Rumble can burn you too much, and stack up the Rumble Conqueror.
All right, so we really still need to see if LYONz got what it takes to end this streak that they have been on, which has not been their favorite one that they've been on for a while here. Started off really
Mark,
good.
What are you doing?
Mark's just running across there. The longest streaks of 2025. Oh, Mark, put your clothes on.
We also don't talk about the Mark streaks.
No, those are not the ones we are looking for. But I think LYON is looking to get rid of everything on that graphic. You know,
he was so happy though.
He was having a great time. Yeah. I'm sure we'll not get a talking to at all after this. Guys, we're using that. No,
we didn't make that.
No, yeah, I don't know how to do graphic design. But, okay, let's get back into where we were at as Thanatos.
Yeah, focus up.
Focusing right back up. Don't be distracted by the graphic elements as Thanatos is keeping control over this top lane. And with Thanatos having control there, that enables Blaber to have control over the river to try to secure the crab, but it's going to be a fight for the crab. Neither jungler has their smite. So this is going to come down to a full-on brawl, potentially. Both top laners also at about half HP. Oddielan wants to start it up here with the third talent strike onto Thanatos, and there's the Flame Spitter, a ton of damage to the Cloud9. First blood over to LYON as Oddielan is still alive, trying to turn it back around onto Blaber. Licorice flashing away, needs a little bit more damage. Sane has made his way up to the fight, and LYON just got 2-0 up here on the top side river. Now Loki wants to get one back. Licorice has already flashed, so he's going to die there. Loki still trying to get another. Flashes over the other way back towards the river, but now he's going to die too. Feet of Warfare claimed. 4 minutes and 9 seconds into the game for LYON.
Today is a good day to watch the LTA. We are combat nonstop.
Yeah.
The last series was like 50 minutes straight of combat, and this game immediately into a river skirmish, and Oddielan gets the flash over the wall. He was prepping it next to the wall. He gets over there, and Thanatos is not able to finish him off, so they get the early lead. His Conqueror is stacked up. He gets the kill there. He gets the triumph there. So when Loki commits the flash inside the pit, he knows. Just chase him down. He had his fully stacked up. Able to get that last Talon strike as well. And the Zhao, this champion is so good at snowballing, so good at dueling. Already, you know, you have this advantage for 1v1s versus a Sejuani. Now the Sejuani it's an Aftershock Sejuani with a Giant's Belt, and you are Conqueror Zhao with plenty of early lead here. So Oddielan definitely will have priority in jungle in these duels. And from this point, you always think as a jungler, I need to play as aggressively as possible as is allowed by my laners. So play off laners that are going to be able to push in and support you, because you will be able to win. He's doing just that. He's going for the Raptors. He gets some of them. Blaber was able to get about half there, plus the smite.
You know, Oddie's just going to keep the pressure on, make sure that Blaber is constantly having to be aware of his presence here in the jungle.
So this means Blaber knows he's been chased out of his top camp, so Blaber's only options are bot side plays. But his camps are all gone, so the only real thing would be a dragon, and he feels too weak to go for that because Saint can cover. Bottom lane is pushed up also for LYON, so LYON really utilizing this early lead well. Their lanes are pushing up, covering the possible options that Blaber would go for. So Blaber had to go for an honestly terrible recall there just to get another Ruby Crystal. Meanwhile, Oddielan took away his Krugs and will be able to get a topside scuttle. And the only thing real left here for Blaber is, all right, do I try and get a gank off? Do I go for this dragon? And there is a ward here that's going to see him start up the dragon.
And critically, that ward is placed right outside of where his sweeper was. So he's starting the dragon up without the knowledge that his opponents are aware of it. But LYON knows what's going on here.
His bottom lane, though, did get the push back out. And so we did get kind of the reverse scenario where Zven and Vulcan got to push the wave backwards. And so they do cover here, and at least allows him that little bit of out. Even though he had to take the kind of suboptimal recall before, he waited, you know, waits the timing for his bottom lane to like regain control. Once Zven and Vulcan can get the push back, then he goes to pick it up. Oddielan, though, kept his focus on clearing out the camps. So he did the scuttle plus the Braum plus the wolves, getting more money for himself. Yeah. Which is like further, you know, selfish / greedy, you know, jungle play, which is actually just, you know, correct play, trying to get more resources on yourself. And he's early to his level 6. So we'll see if the Zhao, once he goes back and spends some more of this money, he already has 1,000 gold in inventory. Will be very formidable once we start to get to these objectives flowers with the Void Grubs coming up in 30 seconds. It will be very dangerous to go try and fight that Zhao.
Exactly. The Void Grubs are what I'm looking at, because look at the individual gold leads on the scoreboard right now. The two largest are in the jungle, nearly 1,000 gold there for Oddielan specifically, and then 350 gold up for Licorice in the top lane. That is two of the key players that are going to be involved for a grub fight. A big equalizer, Zhao jumping in when he's already fed, plus you have Saint on Taliyah who can join so easily with the Weaver's Wall. I really want to see LYON play for these grubs.
And they have gone for their swap, but Zven is still bottom side, so does look like Cloud9 are going to say, we'll make a play somewhere else.
Oh, Saint getting caught off guard as Loki makes the engage here with a Shurima shuffle. Blaber ready to follow him up, but here comes Lyonz on the defense. LYON rallying the troops, bringing everybody together. They're going to keep their mid laner alive as Blaber is now the sacrificial Sejuani, and it's a 4-1 game for LYON.
Saint is able to flash his way out there. He lives. Licorice on the bottom side. Not too scared of the dive, hugs his tower. He avoids death for now, but he's probably going to have to back off because Vulcan's coming as well to really force that dive. And LYON, no, our strong side is all top side. All our resources are there, so just back off Licorice. Don't give anything up. His cooldown on the Rumble ultimate, if we could click on that. It's too long for this wave. Yeah, but next wave, he will have that available. He's trying to like toe the line here and kind of stay in range. But they got the Void Grubs flowers. They defended the mid play as well successfully.
And I feel like that was Cloud9's attempt to stop them from getting the grubs by finding the pick on Saint, but as soon as it fails, their hopes are dashed. Oddielan again, just trying to contest Blaber in the jungle, steal away some of these camps. I did want to point out the ward dropped by Vulcan down there in the bottom lane between the two turrets to keep an eye on wherever Licorice is at as he kind of does what you were talking about, hanging back, seeing how close he can get before it's too dangerous. And that means that C9 is always going to be aware. But man, what an awesome first 9 minutes of gameplay here from LYON. The only thing they've really lost out on was that first Drake, and I don't think they're too worried about it, as here's another look at the attempted play on Saint.
Yeah, so they sweep him in. Blaber's able to follow it up with the Sejuani ultimate, but the flash away, and because he has phase rush for Saint, he's able to walk over to Lyonz, who jumps in with the defense here, and then once that Xin Zhao arrives, that is very far ahead. Easy for them to lock him up. The Braum ends up taking it.
Sorry.
I was just about to mention.
He knows he ends up taking it.
The Braum ends up taking it, and what do you have to say for yourself? My bad. Sorry.
Hey, my bad.
But he was getting hyped up. He was getting hyped up. You know, he jumped in there. When you're Braum jumping in, trying to save a teammate, you feel kind of like Superman. You come in, or save the day. You know, if they put it onto Oddielan, then Oddielan would just be out of control. He's still very far ahead, though. He has enough to finish the Sundered Sky, so he's got that extra auto attack crit at the beginning, and it just gives you so much survivability in the skirmishes when you get your attacks off on the individual champs. Licorice, though.
Thanatos coming in looking for Licorice. Doesn't find him there with the public execution. The Rumble's got to try to get away, but Vulcan's ready to back him up. Thanatos grabbing a critical kill here for C9, as now they're backing away. Oddielan shows up, but it's too late to keep Licorice alive this time. Also did want to point out, when we were watching the previous replay of the attempt on Saint in mid, they tried to make another attempt on him in the little picture-in-picture in the bottom left, but it ended up in Thanatos losing his flash. That doesn't end up affecting this bot lane play here, but it is something important to keep in mind as we keep going forward. LYON's gold lead has been about 1,000 ever since that first big fight in the topside river 7 minutes ago. So while we're praising them for having a solid early game, I do want to see them continue building it up more, because the longer they just keep this stagnated, the longer Cloud9's just going to have a fairer and fairer fight.
And I am going to look at Hena for that. You know, the Ashe arrows and the hawk shots are what you use for so much mid-game control. Ashe is really famous for this. So annoying for Blaber, for Cloud9, to try and pull off those surprise plays. Keep that hawk shot tracking, and then utilize your Ashe arrows very, very frequently here. Objective is up, so they're in. They're going to start it up. Oddielan, no problem there. So they're going to start burning that down. And while Cloud9 fish around, you know, let's see what kind of cross map could we get. At least there's a crab up here. Oh, they're teleporting. They're going to try and dive. Can they actually stop the recall, though? Saint cancels it himself. Now he's surrounded.
Yeah, he's going to try to get away from this one, but Blaber and Vulcan both ready to try to stop him. Blaber stepping away from the seismic shove. Saint taking a ton of damage here, but honestly not enough. C9, they try to make the move, but with only a Sejuani and a Rakan, you don't have the threat you need. Loki tries to go in for the engage, but Saint with a flash out keeps himself alive yet again. Cloud9 now finding themselves overextended behind enemy lines as Loki just gets cooked. C9 go for a sloppy play and get punished. Hena flashes over the wall, ready to keep him slowed down here with a volley. Saint arrives, but he's completely out of mana. There's nothing left here for the seismic shove. Audielan wants more damage onto Thanatos, and a beautiful equalizer welcomes him to hell. It's the red carpet straight down as LYON win another fight.
LYON with the trap. Everyone comes in to defend the play from Cloud9. The cross map goes poorly for them. Really well done by LYON. They trap them. They get an extra kill there. Let's take another look, because they were doing the dragon. You see the dragon indicator now, and he's going to instantly recall. It's when they went for the re-engage and they try and make this flash play. Loki's going to try and get Saint with the Azir sweep, but Saint matches the flash. Even though Loki barely gets away from that seismic shove, still gets trapped. LYON are still able to chase down a couple of kills for it. But Cloud9, they overreached a little bit. You know, they had the right cross-map play initially, but when they didn't get it, you kind of just have to let it go at that point. It's a little bit much to go for the Azir sweep there. They match flash for flashes. Oddielan, by the way, nice W flash on the Zven as well.
each other, guys. Taliyah flash.
Yep. Sounded like a little bit of calms frustrations there for C9, trying to get everybody on the same page to make these plays work. Thanatos taking a significant amount of damage up here, but it's only Saint and Lyonz. He's still Ambessa underneath the turret. He does not have his ulti, though, so you don't have that full outplay potential to punish a dive, so Thanatos wisely stepping away. We are past 14 minutes. These Ashe arrows haven't really found a big value one yet. A lot of them have come very close, but just slightly off.
Yeah, if Thanatos was truly window shopping there, that would have been a sick one. I like still going for those, you know, at the recall positions, because there's a huge reward if your opponent doesn't cancel recall and move. And the cooldown, not too big of an issue, not too big of an expenditure there for Lyonz. So they get their top tower. It is traded. Cloud9 answering on the bottom side, you know, as they should. They're continuing to try their cross maps and continuing to try to make the plays necessary to stay in it.
And the important part is, even though they trade the turrets, since LYON got it first, that's the second feat that they needed. Now they've got the powered up boots, which remember also got the buff in this patch.
So much better.
When you buy the new ones, they're much cheaper, so they're going to feel that much more effective later on. And honestly, checking in now with Lyon's early game here, it's been good. They're 2,000 gold ahead, plates have fallen, we're getting into the mid game, and they've got a good shot. This is honestly one of the better chances I feel like this team has had to take down a team that everybody's got so much higher ranked than them.
True. We've seen some real sparks of brilliance from this team at moments in the LTA, but it would be a tremendous feat if they could take down Cloud9 here in a best of 3 in stage number 2. We're a long way from that actually happening. Yeah. And they've got a lot of work to do, but they are taking the necessary steps here. Licorice and Oddielan continue to push on bottom side, and since they got the Void Grubs, even though they give over Rift Herald, they already got the outer turret on bottom, and they're going to force down the secondary turret too. Secondary turrets worth so much more for your team. Really, really effective here for LYON to continue pushing through and get the extra gold value right now.
Really like the call here, recognizing, hey, we might not want to fight for that Herald, but there's so much value that's so easily picked up down here in bottom lane. They might as well cash in on it. 3 turrets to 2 for them, 2,500 gold lead.
And the Dragon coming here in 48 seconds, so it's recall time. Everybody get your resets. Spend your money that we just earned in all these trades for both teams, Cloud9 included here, to be able to set up for this one. And you look down, most people are still on their first item power spikes and the parts of their second ones. You know, of course, LYON are a little bit further along on that pathway, but it's not something that Cloud9 could not overcome. So if they get a good setup here, you know, Blaber in the brush and Vulcan in the brush, and they look for a very quick play, that's a possible opportunity. I will say a lot of deep vision, though, that LYON left behind. Vulcan discovering some of it now, so they're trying to clear that out and be a little bit more cautious, because mid tower is so low. LYON could just force mid tower first before Dragon and then use mid priority to be able to leak down into the Dragon. Looks like they will just do that. This thing goes down super easy. And so now it's very hard for Cloud9 to even approach Dragon, and they might just have to give it up.
Yep, C9 doesn't have everybody in the neighborhood. Vulcan just recalled right there anyway, goes back to base, gets himself a quick shop as LYON going to go ahead and start up the objective. It looks like you're right, man. I don't think Cloud9 is too interested in this. Instead, they're just going to take the opportunity with LYON down in the bottom side river, use the Herald mid, try to guarantee the tier 1 turret take. I believe it needs a little bit more damage for the Herald to actually get the kill. Nope, not quite. Had just enough to take it down. Nicely done there. So C9 is going to trade evenly on those tier 1s mid, but it does come at the cost of the second Drake for LYON. C9 getting that first one at least means that LYON is not on soul point, so they've still got a little bit more time to play with and not have to answer the next Dragon. But
yeah, I'd say Cloud9 are probably looking at Muramana plus Trinity Force for Zven, and then also the Nashor's Tooth added to Loki. Once you have that, you feel a lot more comfortable, you know, solid in taking these team fights. Then your DPS is a lot more formidable. Plus you have like a couple of poke options there for Zven, you know, as those rockets do come out. If you can, you know, soften up a couple of the members of LYON and look for a better moment to like fully fire on your Sejuani, Ambessa, and Azir ultimates. Vulcan as well can try and get kind of sneaky with some of the flank angles there. We've seen, you know, yesterday especially, Huhi and some of the supports going real deep to find some good flank angles and picks for the teams. Okay, still about a 1,500 gold lead, but that has shrunk from where it was before, about
1,000 higher than that, as C9 have been catching up a little bit here. They're doing a good job of not allowing their opponents to just take everything with no response. The turret count, I feel like a lot of times in a game where a team has an explosive early lead like LYON got, can end up very one-sided, but C9 has kept it very close.
Yeah, they certainly have. They have to be wary of Ashe arrows and Taliyah ult, okay.
Oh, nice arrow there on the Zven, but he immediately cleanses it and gets himself right out of the way of danger. Now Vulcan and Blaber ready to protect their AD carry as they all fall back. LYON finally makes the attempt. They hit the arrow, but it's on the target who can immediately cleanse it off, and Zven survives.
Yeah, very, very nice stuff from Zven to remain calm there, use the cleanse, jump over the Taliyah wall, and safely evade, you know, one of these dangerous scenarios, because Braum ult also being down. Wait a second, Thanatos just used the Ambessa ult. They couldn't quite catch him.
Oh boy, a TP coming in. C9 looking for their moment here. Oddielan could be the pick. Tries to get back over the wall. Nice shuffle from Loki. Tosses him right back over when the shutdown goes in for Thanatos. Saint arrives, but it might be a little too late to do anything. Now Loki's going to get caught out, and I'm dead wrong, and Loki's just dead. Saint continuing the chase as C9 keeps falling back. A 1-for-1 trade. Mid laner for jungler. LYON make sure they go down swinging.
Yeah, Azir goes in for the sweep, but ends up super duper deep, and they only go for 1-for-1. Flowers, I mean, there's no objective here either that we're fighting over, so that was kind of for fun. We are
having a good time.
We are looking at the teleports come in, and you saw early, the Rumble was walking from bottom side, so when Loki goes for this sweep, and he does get 2 of them and force Lion's Flash also, but then he's so far that even with the dash, he can't get back to the rest of the team. And so once Saint's teleport arrives and once Licorice gets in range for the Rumble ult, LYON can just make it a 1-for-1. You know, like we said, though, there's not really big rewards to being the last ones at the top of that fight anyway. So everybody basically resets after 1-for-1 trade. And now we look at, okay, we have to keep some vision of Oddielan, but everybody knows it's pretty dangerous. Zven, though.
Here we go again. They once again want to target the enemy AD carry. Saint jumps in there. Nice use of the seismic shove. The follow-up is there. And without the cleanse, even with the flash, Zven drops that time. Nice pick from LYON.
That is so good from Saint. He immediately gets off with the rocks. So Zven, when he Valks over, stuns himself. They get him with the seismic shove. They get him even after he flashes. And LYON are doing it. With that pick, Flowers, they can put pressure onto Oddielan. So it's a very tenuous situation for Cloud9 right now. And you have to put enough threat as Cloud9 towards this Oddielan to buy time for Zven to come back alive. This objective takes a long time, and it is dangerous for those who do it because it shreds your armor and magic resist, but Cloud9, they still need to buy more time for Zven to revive.
All right, he's reviving now, but the Oddielan is already down to 40% HP. LYON's trying to keep Vulcan away. Blaber also nearby, ready to smite fight for this. Thanatos has just taken the blast cone over the wall. Zven just now making his way out of the base to try to get up here and join this fight. The Thornbound Oddielan is already claimed by LYON, and now they've got to try to disengage. Oddielan and Licorice both at the tail end of the escape, but everybody on LYON gets out. Really well done.
Yeah, because nobody dies and no big cooldowns are used. I mean, the Dragon is up right now in 30 seconds, so I think they even have time to reset and go fight that as well. Very clean stuff from LYON here, Flowers, versus Cloud9, who ended the first split at the top of the LTA. LYON here are pushing them to the brink. Very competitive stuff. Lots of good, you know, Taliyah looks here from Saint to look for some of these picks. They immediately got their pick onto Zven, turned it into an Oddielan, and now have reset in time to come fight the Dragon as well. Licorice has teleport on the Rumble. They could join.
Okay, C9 on the Dragon, starting it up first, ready to just DPS this thing down. They've already got it down to 1/3, but Oddielan is ready to contest. LYON's bringing in a TP. The Weaver's Wall arrives. Saint has made his way into the pit. The Drake is claimed, however, by Blaber and Cloud9. A nice equalizer comes down on most of the C9 roster, but it's Thanatos causing trouble, putting the pressure on the Saint as Hena's already been shut down, but they trade it back for Zven. Thanatos drops next, and LYON are scrambling and winning the fight. Loki gets the kill on Saint. A double kill over to Blaber, though, as C9 have lost 3. LYON have lost 3. There's only 2 men left standing on either side.
Blaber.
And now Blaber may have overstayed his welcome to kill a couple of minions. Brother, you do not have a tier 2 turret. That thing got killed a while back. The Electro Harpoon does not connect, and Blaber barely gets away from an even fight. And a Drake over to Cloud9.
good Sejuani passive. Fury of the North keeps him from getting slowed. He walks away, but look at the fight, Flowers. Blaber secures the smite. He gets the objective for the team. Then you have kind of two fights. Up on the top side, you see Zven get stunned on the Rumble ultimate, but the bottom side, Thanatos is just ripping up Saint and Oddielan. He draws them deeper into the pit so that then by the time they get back to the actual fight and they flash in, it ends up being a 3-for-3 with the shutdowns going over. So the distraction and kind of pulling this fight in two different directions ended up with Cloud9 still getting the objective, scrapping 3-for-3 on the fight. Very fun one here. Here's LYON, though, in the past that we had in the best of ones versus the top 4 teams.
Right, and when you look at this, a lot of times it starts falling off when the minutes are not even at 20 yet. When you start looking at this 14-minute, 16-minute mark, it starts falling off in a lot of the matches, particularly in their one against Cloud9. It's 24 minutes of the game now, and they still have a lead. Yes, it is the same lead they've had since 4 minutes, but it is still a lead, and they've been really making Cloud9 work for this. They've still got an advantageous spot here in this game.
Very tense situation here because we're about to have Baron join the map, and there is not a big enough lead here for LYON to be able to force it. So it has to be about the next pick. Again, we're still looking at these Ashe arrows. Can Hena get a quick snipe there for LYON to make another meaningful pick? So far, Saint has been quite good with the Taliyah walls, and they have found focus onto Zven, but Zven's cleanse is back up, and the flash is a pretty small cooldown left on it. Here we go, though. Fog of War is big.
Plus, there's Mikhail's on Vulcan. I feel like this is such a good purchase for him as that first non-support item because the enemy team really only has the Ashe arrow, and now Vulcan has the response no matter who gets tagged. This is going to create a lot of pressure for LYON to find just a perfect surprise engage.
100% agree right there. So they're going to have to play the side lanes. Thanatos pushing on bottom side. They just had Loki finish up on the top side as well. So Cloud9 get the first move. Looks like it's not going to be too meaningful as they still need to collect their blue buff on the opposite side of the map from Baron, but still fishing around. You can tell how dark the map is for both sides. Nobody has really deep vision. It's a little bit shallow still, so you have to be cautious, and nobody really wants to push across the halfway point of Summoner's Rift because the next big pick has way bigger rewards for the game than we have seen for the first 25 minutes. And the Dragon's still very far off, but we're already trying to group up and do our vision prep for it.
Okay, everybody just waiting on this dragon to spawn. I really want to see LYON continue to make proactive moves. I feel like a lot of times when we see our lower ranked teams get a lead versus our higher ranked teams, this 20 to 30 minute mark is where the problems arise when they fail to figure out how to keep the game moving forward with their lead.
Also, not even about the ranks, but about the comps too. Cloud9 have really good scaling here, so you are a little bit scared of like late game Azir, Ambessa, and Corki with some really good utility on Sejuani and Rakan. So like the Cloud9 comp also does have a lot of good options as we progress, and Cloud9 have been so solid in not letting LYON run away with the gold lead and not really snowball it or balloon at all. And constantly they've been able to whittle it down. One wave at a time, Flowers, of minions here. They've been catching up, and prepping here for the next step. We're well past that step that we were talking about before with the Azir and the Corki as far as carry items.
Yeah, we've been on that step.
We're almost at the death cap step for Loki. So
we're halfway up the stairs, brother.
we are far. So LYON, they're feeling like, I don't want to see that death cap completed. So
no.
LYON here trying to make some early move before that happens. Let's see if they can get a pick. Seismic shove.
They want the seismic shove, and they find it onto Vulcan. A lot of damage, but not enough to kill him here at the very start. He uses the quickness defensively to try to get away as Oddielan now has to want to escape as Blaber leads the charge, and Thanatos has found the flank, but now he's in the middle of everybody. He dies before he can do anything. Loki wants to get the shuffle, but now he's dead too. Cloud9 have already lost both solo laners. Vulcan now drops. Everybody in C9 jerseys ain't breathing no more. Zven, the last man standing. A triple kill for Hena. A beautiful trap laid and sprung by LYON. Pays off.
Great defense from LYON there, defending around the Taliyah, and Saint had an arm guard. that arm guard bought some extra time. The Braum ult goes off. LYON are able to defend that dive that was kind of surgical from Cloud9. They get all the kills on the way out, and that's going to be not only the Dragon Flowers, that is Baron as well. LYON Gaming, they are doing it.
Huge moves from LYON. That was beautiful. I was wondering, how are they going to be able to deal with this team fight? With their limited engage tools, how is it going to work?
That's okay.
I'm okay, I'm okay.
Ambessa, Ambessa. Azir. Wait. Corki, no flash. Go mid.
Can kill.
I think Dragon and Ashe short. Can't do it.
Yeah, Ambessa went in, and even though Blaber was able to get the stun on the Saint into the Ambessa ultimate, it was disjointed from the Loki invade that was later. So yeah. Loki's sweep comes in after the Ambessa's already dead. So it's kind of one at a time with the solo laners instead of right in position to go one after another. And it is just huge here. So Hena, nicely done from him as well. But LYON, let's see what they can do with this Baron buff.
I have been a firm believer for years that Stasis is the most powerful active in League of Legends, and that team fight just demonstrated why. Saint and Licorice both being able to just totally drop aggro and survive the worst of what Cloud9 engaged with completely changed the landscape of what could have been a very different fight. It earns LYON their biggest lead so far in the game. Now 3,500 gold ahead. They're at Soul Point. Red Bull Baron power play still just at the baseline value of plus 1,500 for the Baron. So we'll see how much gold they can add to that with these tier 2s that are still standing. This first one up here in top lane will be taken out. As you can see, Saint applying the split pressure over in mid while Zven tries to defend that. Thanatos was just getting the wave shoved up in bottom to prevent any additional pressure there. Saint still hanging around in the enemy jungle. Blaber is looking for the chance at a flank here, but keep in mind that if C9 goes for anything, the Weaver's wall, there it is, can still come up and try to stop their defense. Oddielan jumps in on Vulcan, but it's only to buy enough time for the rest of the team to knock the turret over. LYON has cracked the base.
Yep, nice use of the Baron there. Taliyah wall goes down to join. Wait a second. Little chunks. Have to be a little bit respectful here of Cloud9, but LYON, they open up the base here. They do take down the tower. Cloud9 still trying to defend, and well, they're trying to catch people on recalls. Trying to catch people on recalls here. It doesn't quite find it, but yeah, the cooldown at the moment isn't that crazy. So we'll see though. LYON, honestly, right back out onto the map. You have open top side here for yourself. So next step is take away jungle resources from Cloud9 while you're waiting for the dragon to spawn. Yeah. That's why Cloud9 right now, they're trying to rush them down. They're like, okay, you're resetting.
Get this stuff fast.
Get as much out of our jungle before LYON get back. So they at least get their own buffs for themselves. I believe Blaber should be able to get the red buff for them too. So that is very important once you're past that 25-minute mark, because the buffs going on to every team member is actually fairly high combat power. LYON, though, right back to pushing duty with their Baron. They get another tower, and Licorice is up to the bottom side inhibitor tower for himself here, too. Little sidestep there. Thanatos was kind of thinking he was going to run away quicker, so that's why he led with the Ambessa ult. But no Ambessa ult means there's not a lot of scary stuff from Cloud9. The Sejuani was a bit of a whiff. The Ambessa was a bit of a whiff, and they actually answered the split push. Arrow to... There's no way that hits, right?
Yeah. I like the attempt, though. If that does end up hitting him, he's stunned for so long, and Vulcan's not nearby, so there's no Mikhails to actually save him. But unfortunately, doesn't quite hit. The nice part, at least for Cloud9, is using those ultis like they did from Blaber and Thanatos. They are both going to be ready in time for the Drake fight, which is where the next big confrontation should be. Less than 1 minute on that one now. If LYON gets it, that's Ocean Soul for them, which just makes Cloud9's difficult job that much harder. They're already down so significantly in a matchup that I think everybody was predicting to be very much in their favor.
Yeah, definitely so. LYON here, though, showing up so well and fighting their way back through the mid-game where Cloud9 had been closing it, but that fight that pushed them over the edge and grabbing the Baron as well for themselves, pushing their gold lead just up over 4K in preparation for this dragon. Now we're looking at Ashe Arrow ready to go. Braum as well has everything, and Braum brings so much structure to these team fights of LYON. So Loki and Thanatos have to be very careful when they go for their dives. Sometimes on the Azir, it's better to not even go for sweep plays and just try and DPS from the back line. and play it a little bit safer, a little bit slower. Ooh, Ashe Arrow dodge there. Zven able to juke it with the Valk.
And Hena's already critically low on HP. LYON bungling their engage here as Cloud9 has total control over the pit. Oddielan has already lost Hysterics. LYON, they really wanted to stop him. They really wanted to try to get the soul, but it all ends up falling apart as now Licorice might just get picked off by Thanatos. The stasis buys him a little bit of extra time, so Vulcan's quickness can't follow it up properly. But the soul point is now the status for both teams. 3 Drakes to 3. Next one's got to be soul.
Ooh, what a clutch one there for Cloud9. They get to the objective first, Flowers, earlier so that you're forced to come check them. And then some fancy moves there. Corki goes for a poke. Corki avoids the Ashe Arrow attempt at his life. And even though Zven has to use all summoner spells there, they get the dragon. I think it is worth it to deny Dragon Soul. They didn't get actually money out of it, or a lot of money out of it. So we'll see, because LYON's still in a very good spot, and you're still going to have Baron to be able to fight around in 30 seconds. So LYON now could just come back and have a big team fight for themselves to get a Baron number 2 in this game and get them right back on track towards winning. Cloud9, though, we'll see what they do. Zven's got to be way more careful now that he has no flash, no cleanse. It becomes so much more difficult for him to avoid, especially the Taliyah rocks, because flash is very critical in avoiding Taliyah combos, obviously, since his Valk is going to be able to stun himself over the rocks, and Saint has really been on point.
So the big worry for LYON here is you still have mostly the Ashe Arrow for engage. Vulcan is still going to Mikhail's whoever it hits. Now, you've already did the thing earlier where you were able to set the trap, hide around the fog, find the surprise engage anyway. But that's one of those tricks that really should work just once, as Cloud9 now knows you're going to be playing for those types of angles. So I want to see what can LYON find in terms of actually picking a fight. The arrow only connects onto Blaber. Now the equalizer doesn't get a whole lot of anything here for the follow-up. LYON, this is what I was worried about. This is what I was talking about. They go for the engage, but their tools are so limited that Cloud9, as long as they're aware of what's happening, then can fall back.
Yeah, everything's spent on Blaber. Now Cloud9 going to go for it.
Oh, Vulcan botches his own engage. The quickness doesn't connect, and now Hena's on a rampage. Blaber has to try to get away. C9 just completely handed it to him, and LYON with a kill on the jungler, a kill on the support. Now they're going to get a kill on their second Baron of the game, 17-7. LYON feeling good.
Cloud9 thought they were safe. There was no more Rumble Ultimate Flowers, and they go in and they just get kneecapped right in front of Baron.
Boom.
That is ideal for LYON. Another fight right by the Baron. They instantly pick it up, and they're going to push in to destroy the base. Inhibitor here is going to fall very quickly. They've got Saint with teleport pushing through mid. The Taliyah actually is going to go bottom side to push that wave even quicker.
Oh,
is he going to Taliyah wall towards the Azir? He's chasing Azir down while the rest of the team ends the game.
They're going straight for the Nexus turret. The first one's already down. The teleport's coming back from Loki to try to defend the second. LYON's 4-man squad has taken an inhibitor, taken an Nexus turret. The equalizer's already off cooldown as they continue to force C9 back, and Saint's getting the wave set up over in mid. 6,500 gold lead. Inhib down. 1 Nexus turret standing. LYON are this close to winning game 1.
This is what you want to see from the teams that were ranked lower. These bottom teams of the LTA rising up, Flowers. Very good game from LYON versus Cloud9 here in the opener of this best of. And with this gold lead ballooning off that Baron, off that fight right in front, let's take another look at how they punish Vulcan. So they think, oh, there's no Rumble Ultimate, it's not as dangerous, but the Braum just cued Vulcan as he was coming in, and Hena was able to proc it. The Braum is just so punishing there. And since Blaber was clearing a ward at the time in Baron, he was like, whoa, bro, now I'm caught too. And the front line is just instantly deleted. Really good move there from LYON. As a group, they just collapse onto him. And heads up play, Lyonz was like, okay, Vulcan, you're going to come straight at me. I'm just going to Q you. That thing stacks up, and they knock him down with that stun.
And you could see a little bit of frustration there in the player cam. Obviously not for the first one. Coach staff for LYON, they're ecstatic. They are loving this. But Vulcan recognizing, hey, that was a pretty big blunder. That might lose them this game. But there is still one more big fight that has to happen before LYON can win it. The Cloud9 base is not so decimated that you can just win based off of minion pressure. You've still only got the 1 lane of super minions spawning. They've got the Baron for another 45 seconds. They're going to try to use it to force down the tier 3 turret over here as Loki gets caught out. He's instantly dead. Vulcan isn't close enough to try to save him with the Mikhails. The Mikhails is actually still on cooldown from earlier. And LYON with a pick on the Cloud9 mid laner. Now with a 5v4, knocking on the door to the Nexus itself. The equalizer puts pressure on Zven, who has to try to Valk away. The remaining members of Cloud9 want to stand and fight, but Vulcan and Blaber are already down to 10% HP. A little bit more damage will finish the job. LYON are gonna take this first game 20-7. They're up 1-0 against C9.